This is Dabu7. I want to share with you here Malaysia Flight 17 Exposed. This is a list, a playlist, if you will, of all the facts, all the information, all the red flags, everything that we've caught them doing thus far. 16 videos. This will be the 17th, and I will briefly highlight all these videos a little bit and all the key information in this video and put all the proof out there on the table so we can see everything that we know thus far. There's really not too much more to know, because at the end you're going to see who the culprit is. All you have to look at is who benefits from all this, and some of the information you may have missed. I just want to put it all together out there so everyone could see, and it's always still developing. Things change, and in the end you'll get the answer. Now, every single video you see here, like I said, I'll leave links. You can go to them, packed full of information on each key headline. Now, this whole thing started off with an explosion. We were told that this flight was shot down over Ukraine in a rebel-controlled territory. Now, it's been almost a week since this thing was shot down, and we've yet to see any video proof or evidence of a missile, of the plane coming down out of the sky, anything. Now, this is key right out of the gate, because we're looking for evidence. And thus far, with all the technology and all the cameras and all the shots that we have of a plume and an explosion, we have zero evidence of this thing coming down out of the sky. I just want to point it out. Now, many people stated that bodies fell into somebody's house. Well, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of houses right here, and there were parts thrown thousands of yards from this explosion as it erupted. As you can see right here, that massive explosion sent things flying. Now, regardless, we also do not know thus far what this was that blew up. All we know is they're showing us an explosion and telling us that it was the plane. Now, I covered this a little bit more in the following video, what the MSM isn't telling you, because they wanted to come out and immediately state that this was Russia, pointing the finger at Russia. And they were stating it was not an accident, because I was asking, could the rebels have potentially done it? And it have been an accident, and they were like, no, could have never been. And it just went to show how bad they wanted to take out Russia in this instance. Then came the bombshell that we were all waiting for. It came in the form of the Ukraine making a huge mistake in trying to put out a piece on Russia, blaming them for being behind this whole thing. Once discovered and confirmed here in this video, boom, Kiev busted, caught plotting the crash of Malaysia flight MH17. We finally had experts come in and look at the audio and state, yes, this thing is a sham. And the key to this is that they declared that, yes, indeed, this thing was created a day before the crash, which means whoever made this knew this plane was going to go down and knew about this whole orchestration. And this was a video that Kiev was backing. Once we countered this in the Twitter feeds against the mainstream media and all this, it disappeared. I'm telling you, we have a voice out here, and it will be heard if you keep asking questions. Now, we went on to look at further proof and as evidence of what was taking place. We just busted Kiev in their own job trying to frame Russia. They exposed themselves. Now, this information, I think, is still the biggest, because it shows you exactly who the culprit is. But people always want more information. But we've got more information. So looking at it, it shows us that out of the past 10 flights that took off through this region, this one was diverted into this hostile region, into a specific territory. And not only that, it was accompanied by 2 fighter jets. Now, this was reported on by a Spanish man that worked in the tower in Kiev, and it's been since been confirmed that yes, this man was legitimate. There were fighter jets since then. We've also had Russia come out and release their information, satellite images, radar information, stating that there was a jet heading right at MH17. Soon as this information came out, everything seemed to change. Now, we also know that Kiev lied to some of the mainstream media in an attempt to say they had no weaponry, nothing to be able to pull this off. Now, we since figured out that they sent 27 different units of these Buk missile systems to the region, so they were caught lying there. And then we have the bizarre accounts from the rebel leader coming out, and many others since, stating that these bodies were rotting. That immediately the first people on the scene after this thing hit the ground and it blew up and they were putting out the flames still, that these bodies smelled of death, of rotting. Now, this may sound crazy, but it just goes to show that something is not right here. Now, we'll remember those key parts right here as we continue to move on. Now, I put on out a piece here called The Real Reason They Brought This Down, and that was to cover basically what Obama plans on doing, and we're seeing it happen right now. Back in 2008, Russia exposed that Obama was going to try to do this through the Crimea and through Ukraine. Since then, it's happened. Now, in this video, I also touched on some amazing facts here, that this Flight 17 first flew July 17th, 1997, exactly 17 years to the day before it crashed. Oddly enough, and I didn't plan it this way, this is the 17th video in this series, capping off all of this information here. I guess it suits it right. And we also had the Russian government going on Wikipedia and editing the information because they were ticked off, stating that you're not going to try and blame us. Now, when looking further into the next bit, to what the United States and the congressmen are saying, it's no secret that these men are patsies, that they're part of the problem. All these congressmen, they're paid off. But at times they come out and they make statements that need to be heard by the people, because many of the sheeple listen to them. This is what some of you need to understand. You think that these people are not awake, but when this man's actually speaking something relevant and people are listening to him, well, then they need to hear it. You have to take advantage of the outlet where and when you can. Does he say a lot of other things that does he go along with the scheme in other ways? Yeah, he does. They all do. They're politicians. But you have to pay attention to what they're saying and use discernment. That's the key. And even he said that the United States participating in overthrowing the Ukraine government is the reason this all happened. So he admitted, while no one was really paying attention, he admitted that the United States was behind this whole thing. They overthrew the government, that they were behind this whole orchestration. So you have to pay attention to these key things. They get caught slipping. Now, after that, I put out information showing the actual satellite images of the debris field, because you were hearing stories out there that this went on for like 10 miles. They were finding bodies all across the place, and the fact of the matter is that just was not true. That the houses that where these bodies were falling through the roof were right here on this region, not far from where the explosion took place on the ground. So, in essence, for people backing the theory that there was a ground explosion and there never was anything shot out of the sky, a body could have well been flung, and you've seen the explosion from this spot into any of these houses down here, and body parts everywhere, and that's where they were scattered. And they find material all over the place. I'll touch more on that here in the end. But we then have evidence released here from Russia that basically shoots down anything the Obama administration has to offer. They tried to state they had this, they had satellite images that, and Russia's the one that actually delivered, and everything that they showed the Ukraine was behind this, not them, and that there was actually a fighter jet heading straight toward this flight. The United States will not say a single word about this. They're beating around the bush. Kiev, the same. I've also exposed that this whole thing just so happens, when you're looking for a suspect and people to pull this off, the whole thing just so happens to coincide with Operation Rapid Trident, which is a massive military exercise by NATO in the region. Now, in doing this, I put out a couple big pieces here. One also here reporting on the passports, which blew the whole thing out of the water. Brand spanking new looking passports out of that charred mess. Perfect. And the signature of the Illuminati was there for you to see it if you had the eyes to see. And last but not least, the possibility that these people were put on a different plane. Because when this individual took a photo before he hopped on the plane, it ended up having, right here, it ended up having a different number, as you can see right here. And in this video I explain all of it. So it leaves the question, where did those people go? Where did that plane go? Because somebody looking out a window at a plane they're about to get on surely isn't going to take a picture of a different plane when it's right there and they're about to get on it. It's the only proof we have, but it's damning. Along with everything else, the passports, the fact that a Ukrainian jet has been reported going straight at this, the fact that the United States has not yet released anything that they say that they have. And when I talk of key players here, if the United States says that they picked up on radar an explosion that showed a missile, well then Russia should have it too. They haven't said anything like that, but they should have it too. There should be a lot more information out there. This whole thing, in my opinion, couldn't be possible, believe it or not, without some other higher powers playing a part in this. Now, a lot of people think that this thing was blown up on the ground. A lot of the pieces are right next to the roads. All the evidence we have thus far shows it was a ground explosion. Nothing from the air until we get that. Hopefully we do. And we can go from there. Until we get that, it sits right here on the ground. But it potentially still could have been blown out of the sky or brought down out of the sky. Thing is, once again, if all the people boarded another flight, where did those people go? Where did they go? Because sticking up out of the ground is MRD out of this explosion. If these people hopped on the RC, where did it go? Still things yet to be answered. Obvious red flags like the whole passport thing, the Ukraine government getting busted trying to frame Kiev, the fighter jets in the region, them knowing about it. All of it is damning against Kiev. And at the end of the day, they've come out and stated that, hey, the rebels have been putting other parts of other aircraft in the pile of rubble. Why would they ever do that? This thing could continue to change back and forth forever. But one thing I'm pretty sure of here is they're behind it. Kiev, I mean 99.9, backed by you-know-who. And at this point, that's where it sits. It's political gain here for them to try to attack Russia, and it's innocent people that die in the end. As I get more information, I'll attach it to this video and the playlist. And that video playlist will serve as a spot that I'll put all future information from here. Now, this has been Dabu7 with Exposing Flight 17. Till next time, eyes open.